today. They're also having a car show. You can see people getting their stuff ready, and it's going to be kind of loud here, and you can see all the trailers. And this is not quite our thing, but maybe at another time we might come back. Hi, I'm Jill.
And I'm John.
And we're the Geezers on the Go.
Go, go, go!
This time we're at Pocahontas State Park in Virginia. With its 2 lakes and miles of trails, it draws more than 1 million visitors annually. The park is located near Chesterfield, about 20 miles south of the state capital of Richmond. The campground offers 129 sites, all with water and electric. And it also has cabins and yurts, and they're all open year-round.
We're also going to visit the CCC Museum because why not? It's on the park grounds. Then we'll get Jill bailed out of the historic Chesterfield Jailhouse and Museum. And finally, we'll give you the grand tour of Beaver and Swift Creek Lakes.
Okay, we're here at Pocahontas State Park. Just don't mind my shadow. It's in Chesterfield, Virginia. It's a pretty big place. It's over 130 sites. And in fact, it's supposed to be the biggest state park in Virginia. We're on a stretch of lots of pull-throughs, so this park does have quite a few pull-throughs. And we got pretty good space here. There's quite a few trees. Has water and electric, no sewer, but the dump station's not too far. And there's a good space here. It's got a lot of gravel, and if you have a tent, there's a big space back here to either put a tent or maybe your screen house. Other cool thing about this park is that they have quite a few what they call, I guess they're buddy sites, and this one is number 5, and there's 3 sites all together in it. And there's 3 tents out there today, but there's a couple other ones here too. As you can see, we're still in pretty good bloom. It's the beginning of November. A little chilly today, but it's supposed to warm up again. But we're not too far in this loop. Down by the there's a bathroom just down a little bit and a playground. But a lot of this area here, lots of pull-throughs. And then on the other side, there's lots of different loops here, so you can get easily turned around in this park. We drove around the other day and it was like, where are we going? But as you can see, the trees are still really nice. And we'll just keep walking and see what else we see. We happened to pick a location that was right near the bathroom, which is always good for us. Only problem is I found is there's no heat in the showers, so you have to wait till at least warms up to the afternoon before you want to go take a shower. But there is a big space over here where the playground is, so if you have kids, it'd be a good place. There are so many campsites here, and the little loops intertwined, so it can get confusing. In fact, there's young boys up there running. They will start going one way and go, oh, we're going the wrong way. And lots of ones back here and around the loop that's in the 20s and 30s. These are mostly back ends. Well, folks, I told you this place gets you confused. I thought I was going in a loop that took me back to our campsite, but I was going in the opposite direction, so let's go back again, retrace our steps, and find another area to look at. Who needs trails? I'll just walk on this. But this would be good for bicycles. Lots of all paved, a little up and down, but if you can take it, it's good for bicycle riding. Well, I finally got turned around and I'm back down in our loops at site 66 to 123, and that's us. And there's another trailhead here. This place is just full of trails. So if you're a hiker, this is a great place to go. And it starts at 66, and all these along here too, coming down towards us, are also all pull-throughs. Some better than others, but if what I like to call sometimes here, people don't like to back in, these are perfect place to come because there's a lot of pull-through sites here. And as we come down this road again, you can see the trees are pretty, and there we are down there at site 72.
Just a little auto tour here of some of the campsites. I'm not going to pretend to tell you where we are because I'm never quite sure in this park. The loops are all over the place, but there's basically two big loops with little small offshoot loops, and we're in the one right now that's farthest from the campground, or that's farthest from the check-in area.
When you first come in, that whole big row is all pull-throughs, and then the rest of the park is backing.
Yeah, we'll show that to you. Yeah, we're not there yet. But these are some nice big spots. Mostly gravel paths.
Another one of those buddy sites.
Yeah.
3 sites in one.
A lot of trees in here. I noticed one of the things I first noticed when we got to this campground was how good it smells here. The combination of the pine trees and the falling leaves from the hardwoods, it was just immediately made it one of my favorites. This is part of the loop near the entrance to the campground. These are the lower numbers. These are all a bunch of pull-throughs right here. There's quite a few of them. It looks like there may be about 8 or 10 of them. And they're very nice. Some of them are a little, what is it? What would you call it? A little high-centered. They're not extremely level, but looks like everybody's found a level spot. Here's an empty one. Like I said, it's Sunday. People will be leaving all day probably. This is the other side of that first loop. This is site 28 right here. The first loop has the lower numbers, approximately the first half of the campsites. The second loop has the second half of the campsites. Jill's driving very slowly now because she's not looking at the road. As you may have noticed, driving around campgrounds is one of our favorite things to do. We just go round and round.
Oh, we make notes of nice campsites. That maybe when we come next time we find
And then people look at us and say, "Didn't you just go by 5 minutes ago?"
Are you stalking us?
Sites 42 through 54 were back there, but Jill just whizzed past.
I missed them, huh?
These are the kind of campsites I watch out for, because it's sort of down in a hole, and if it rains, you're going to be at the bottom of a brand new little river. See, that one there is much better.
Some of the ones on the bottom of this loop are all downhill.
Yeah, which don't make bad campsites until, like I said, it rains. Then you get all the water down by your tent. Now we're going down that little offshoot loop that Jill missed the first 4 times around.
Lots of trees over there.
Lots of trees, and most of the campsites are on the other side so far. Oh, here come a couple.
Now this looks like it might be coming over here.
No, they have water and electric.
They just all have tents.
One of the nice things about this weekend and this particular campground was there were a lot of kids here, a lot of families, which is always good to see.
At the first turn near the front of the park where you come in, where you check in, go down the road to what says Algonquin Camp. There's some rustic cabins, and it looks like, from looking in the windows, they don't have much, just sort of a pallet for a bed, and that's about it. But there's some other cabins over here. These look a little bit bigger, so let me take a walk over and see what this looks like. Well, I can't really see in the windows, but these look a little bigger. I could sort of see, it looks like bunk beds inside, but if you go around the back, there's a nice little deck. Got a grill and a picnic table, and out here communing with nature. Must have electric because there's an air conditioner, so I wouldn't say these are very rustic. I'd say about 2 miles from the campground, there is a big pool complex here. And one of the camp hosts told me it's one of the only places at the state parks that the pool's been open in the summertime, because most of them have been closed because they can't get help. But in the summertime, it looked like it'd be a great time. There's a kiddie pool and little tubes to go through, and big picnic area too. So if you wanted to come for the days, I'm sure we'll have a good time.
Yeah, the first thing that sort of strikes you about this park when you arrive is the name. It's named after the famous Indian princess, and lo and behold, she really didn't have any connection to the park.
No, she didn't live around here, but she lived in the area, and she was very famous. She was married to a Powhatan chieftain, and then later to a white man. So
how did they get the name, Jill?
I know. Well, the park didn't become a park till like the late 40s, and they decided they'd have a naming contest of school kids, and Pocahontas won. So it's Pocahontas State Park.
Well, good for Pocahontas.
I know, but it's a beautiful park.
Yeah, it's got 2 lakes and a pool.
Pool, and it's one of the few state parks that has a pool that's open in season because of funding and different things.
And it's got hiking trails everywhere.
Hiking trails, biking trails, and you can't go very far without finding a trailhead. And what I like is that they have little signs that actually tell you what trail you're on, how far you're going, and because a lot of times you get on these trails, you get lost, and you have
a lot of state parks sort of turn you loose, and you're on your own.
True, and it's pretty big. It's got about 130 sites, and it's
almost 8,000 acres. Did you mention that?
Yeah, it's supposed to be the biggest state park in Virginia, but for now anyway. Somebody said that one of the other state parks is going to buy some more
I think that
land.
Was Staunton State Park.
But for right now, they said it's the biggest.
Right. There's things to do in the area too.
The town of Chesterfield is right outside the park.
Very historic. Yeah. You took a little trip into Chesterfield.
Yeah, I learned about Lord Chesterfield, who came to this area in the early 1600s, and he developed a special strain of tobacco that the English really liked, and they cultivated here, and the people actually had their own individual farms that they could make money and not be like a cooperative.
Yeah, and of course they're very careful to point out that there is no more tobacco grown in the county, so they're doing their part.
And I said that in the town you can go, there's a little museum that tells you all about the area and the people who lived here.
And the old jail.
And there's an old jail, which is almost like an old Mayberry jail. The cells are upstairs, and they said that the guy who ran it for 40 years, his wife used to cook the food for them.
Well, was there anybody in there sleeping off a drunk?
No, but it was a interesting thing. The lady said when I walked into him, she said she promised she wouldn't close the doors behind me, but almost.
And speaking of museums, they have a really nice CCC museum right here on the grounds.
Right, it's down by one of the lakes, and it gives you the history of how they helped build the park, even though it wasn't a state park at the time. But it was supposed to be a historical place, so they built a lot of the buildings, and where the museum is, it still has the actual stone fireplace is still in the building.
And we're also gonna take you out and show you a little bit of the two lakes that are here.
And the cool bridge that they built, it's called the Iron Bridge, and we took a walk across it. Again, about 2 miles from the campground, and right where that visitor center is, and near Beaver Creek Lake, there's a CCC museum. So we're gonna check it out. John's already waiting for me to get up here, and we'll be checking out some history. Right, John?
Oh, we're going to go in and see where it all started with these CCC boys.
Okie dokie, here we go.
The Civilian Conservation Corps, or CCC, was established by FDR in 1933 at the height of the Great Depression. It gave voluntary employment to young men in their late teens and 20s, and they, in turn, helped establish many state parks across the country.
Yeah, there's fireplace, and this building was actually built in 1939, right?
Yeah, and by the CCC, which did so many of the other buildings and so many other state parks that we've been to.
Yeah. And they said that this actually wasn't a state park at one time. It was not till later. It was just built by them, but wouldn't become a state park till about 10 years later. But they, thank God for the CCC. We didn't have hardly any of the state parks that we have today. They did good work and still standing today.
And this fireplace is original from that time, from the 1930s. They also obviously planted trees, because they planted trees everywhere. But they built the 3 dams that are in this park. So you probably haven't been down to the, well, goodness, I'm getting my picture taken. You probably haven't been down to the Beaver Lake, but the dam down there was built by the CCC.
We're going to wait till the car show's over.
Okay.
Found out that that flag here was the original flag that flew over the camp while they were building it. So wow, pretty old. Before you actually go to get down to the museum, the CCC museum, this is a big bell that said they used to ring this in case of a big emergency.
This is the area where the CCC barracks were. Of course, there's none left. There's a couple of small buildings down there because there's a lot of trails start out here. This is the trailhead for a bunch of walking and biking trails. But this is where the old CCC barracks would have stood.
Oh, about 5 miles from the campground, there's a little area that's a historic district here in Chesterfield. There's a museum and a jail. So we're going to take a look and see what's inside. The original courthouse was built in 1750, just 1 year after Chesterfield was officially established as a county. And the museum contains some 400 years of the city's history, from the early settlers in the 1600s through the Revolutionary and Civil Wars. Quite an interesting little museum. Has some, because the history goes back to the mid-1600s, from when they first started to grow tobacco, and it was one of the first areas where they did farming for profit. This area also is known for its ironworks in the late 1600s, and they produced a lot of stuff, and this is some artifacts that were found from that time a long time ago. And there she is, the namesake of the park, Pocahontas, who really never lived near where the park is, but she was in the area, and the park was named after her, after a naming contest by school kids. This is what a general store would have looked like back in the day. This is sort of what the jail looks like today, and they have all these little history things here. And here's a guy here. He was the head jailer for 40 years, but during this time he had a couple of escapes. But he said he was going to keep quitting because they kept beating him up, but he kept going. And then over here, I got some cool handcuffs and what they would have used. There's some of the jail cells from way back when. Very narrow. It's actually up to the second floor of this jailhouse.
I did have an older man visit. He said he spent a night here in the 50s for drunken disorder. Couldn't remember much because he had been drinking. He said he remembers sleeping on the metal cot. They did not give him a mattress.
That's the original bell. It's older than the Liberty Bell. Okay, I think I found it. It says, Beaver Lake Trail, Spillway Trail. We're gonna go this way. And it appears I've taken the right path because I can see Beaver Lake. Kind of pretty. I'm going to take that trail in a minute, but this way will lead me to where there's supposed to be a little spillway or waterfall. See the Beaver Lake Trail. And here's the lake, part of it, arm of the lake, and here's the spillway. Not a heck of a lot of water going over it, but enough. There's the top of the spillway. There's a trail comes down and around, and another great thing I love these markers. Okay, made my way down from where I was just sitting looking out at the lake, and it's only maybe another 1/10 of a mile. There's some more signposts here, and it goes out to pretty cool. I saw there's a little pier here, so you can walk out, and if you want to, maybe you could do some fishing.
This is Swift Creek Lake, about a 2-mile drive or bike ride from the campground. It's a pretty little lake and offers a few more recreational opportunities than its little sister.
Looks like in season they have lots of paddle boats that you can try out. And could be some decent fishing. I keep seeing fish jumping here. Looks like a nice little cove in here that maybe there's some bass or some sunfish or crappies. And there's the bridge down there. I'm going to take a walk over there, see what it looks like. Well, I think this is called the Iron Bridge to go across here. And the pets must be on a leash. It says it's open. So let's go across. And there's some of the lake. You can see where the boats are. Somebody else walking across the bridge. And it's pretty cool. So I'm going to go across. There's some benches you can sit. And we'll go across. Well, I'm just about across. And it looks like there's a couple different trails you can go to from here. I always like when they put these nice little sticks here. It says the Hawkins Forest Trail, and there's another parking area down there. So we'll take a look. From that iron bridge, there's lots of different places to go from there. You can go that way. I guess that one you can't go on any bicycles, and this one goes again up into the forest and the trees, and so you can go that way too. So you have lots of options.
At this point, we'd run out of options and needed to pack up and move on. Thanks for joining us at Pocahontas State Park, and, as always, we'll see you down the road.
Stop! Stop! Stop!